Oh, it is a beautiful morning. It is late June and it is around 74 degrees Fahrenheit. And I have just a few things I want to show you here in the container garden. I've been out here working over the past couple of weeks, getting things cleaned up and planting some of my summer herbs. So I'll show you what's growing. So over here in my little hanging baskets, I have a couple of nasturtium plants that have popped up, and I just put some seeds in there. And so I did not transplant those into my little hanging pots. Now, one plant actually popped up also that I did not put in there, and I'm pretty sure it's one of my little tiny tomato plants called a sweet pea currant. So I pulled it out and I planted that in my GreenStalk. And so hopefully that's what it is, and I'll know here soon. It's starting to bloom, so I'm pretty sure it's my little sweet pea currant tomato plant. I always like to find little volunteers in my soil, and it makes my life a lot easier because I actually did not start one of those plants this year, and I always like to have one out here in my little container garden. And now these are just little hanging pots that I reused. I bought flowers in these several years ago, and so I just took my little solder iron and I made holes in the bottom to make sure that they drain real well. And of course I use potting soil and not anything like raised bed soil or topsoil or anything like that. I always use container soil for my containers, of course. That's so that it has adequate drainage. And I make my own potting soil. If y'all haven't seen that video, I'll make sure to leave a link down below in the description area. So first, while I'm out here, I want to water just a few things. I've planted many herbs by seed, and I need to make sure I'm keeping those watered every day with just a little mist option that's on my water hose nozzle. And so I have replaced my old hose that you saw in my last herb container garden video, and it's because it was well, it ruptured on me, it burst. So those little expandable hoses do that a lot if you leave the water on, and I accidentally left my water on. And so anyway, I have replaced it with this little stainless steel hose. I hope it works out great. This is a 25-foot hose that I got on Amazon, and I think it comes in longer lengths too, but really out here all I need is 25 feet. So let me go ahead and water a few things so you can kind of see what I do in my garden pretty much on a daily basis. So whenever I have planted something by seed, I use the mist option on the nozzle, as I mentioned. If you don't have a hose with a mist option, you can always use just a spray bottle, but you really don't want to force many of your herb seeds far into the soil. So just giving them a little mist every day, especially those really small seeds, will help them pop right up for you. Just make sure you are misting them every day. Now right over here is my thyme, and you saw me cut that back in my last herb video, and of course you can see now it's growing back just fine, so it's just looking great. I'll be able to use some fresh pretty much the rest of the season. And then here's a lot of scallions just coming up really nice. And I also have a lot of lovely dill looking great, along with some chives. My mint, I need to go ahead and cut that back. It's starting to yellow down at the base of the plant, so I'll just give that a good cutting here, probably right after the video. Alright, so over here on this side of my patio I have some basil, and you might recall in my last video of this little container garden I had to thin out one of my basil containers because a lot popped up in one container and only one plant popped up in the other container. Off to the left here is my Thai basil. I really should just plant one Thai basil per 3-gallon container. These are about 10 inches in diameter, and that's the perfect size for basil, but really I only need one plant per container. So I might still move one out of my Thai basil. There's 2 in there. Now then we have this one here, and that is just one plant in that container. So what I need to do at this point is prune that basil back so that it will really bush out and just look lovely here in about July. Okay, so on the basil plant you can kind of see down here that I have some side growth coming out here and here, and I want to go ahead and cut it about right here so that it will continue to just bush out. And I always put my basil in fresh water because it will not recover from wilting. So it will wilt pretty quick if you don't put it in fresh water. And like I said, I'll use this today. Okay, and right here is Tulsi Basil. That's a great medicinal herb, and it is just really recovered. I was so worried about it. I started that indoors over the winter, and it was my only seed that sprouted, and I just kind of took care of it the best I could. And of course, now that the temperatures have heated up, it's just really liking the condition, so it's taking off beautifully. I'm going to try to keep this as long as I can. Hopefully I can bring it indoors over the winter, so we'll just see how that goes. Now then, over here to the right, I have some more seeds I have put out into this soil here, and so I just want to make sure, like I said, keep these misted. And then I have tarragon and chives, and then here is another one of the basil plants that I thinned from that first container, and I popped it over here. And I might go ahead and move this over to the other side of the deck so that it will get more sun in the afternoon. Basil loves sun, so it loves the warmth. And then, as you can see here too, it's about time that I pruned it. So you can see how I've got some nice growth coming out from here on this side and on this side. So I could just take that top right off and it will just start to bush out. And then just some rosemary. I wish I had about 10 of those plants. I just keep clipping that away, and poor thing, it's just been cut on too much. So I need enough. I'm starting actually a couple more plants of those. So hopefully I'll have a lot more towards the end of the summer. And then of course my little kaffir lime tree. I want to take out some of that shiso that's right there in the container with it. I think it might be kind of taking over the container, so I'm going to remove some of that. And then I have my lemongrass next to it, which I really need to find a new home for. That's another project I've got to do. I need to find another container so that it can grow. Lemongrass will get root bound very easily. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out some of this little perilla here, this purple perilla. Try not to mess up my deck. I've got a lot of this growing in my front garden too. So over here on this side, I just have parsley, some tarragon, some more scallions with a little bit of cilantro popping up. Once the heat really gets it, it won't stay around very long, but I'll have it for, maybe a week until it really heats up. And then tarragon, and then another mint plant. And that one's also showing some signs of yellowing at the base, so I'll cut that back and water it real good, and I'll have a lot of new growth here, most likely in August. So underneath my bench I have some cuttings, and I kind of like for these to get a little bit of shade. So I have some tarragon and some sage, and I showed y'all how to take cuttings in both of those videos. So I will keep them in the shade and keep them watered, and they seem to be rooting down real good. So I was growing sugar snap peas in this GreenStalk the last tour, and so I've obviously harvested all of those, and now I've put some of that basil that I started in that one container, I put it over here in my GreenStalk. I've also planted a lot of different things. So I planted dill and some more herbs. I think I also put some green beans in here, some bush beans. So I just need to make sure I'm keeping this watered, again, misted every day until I see them at least come up, and then I'll feel a lot better. I like to make sure they're sprouting for me. So a lot of them are not up yet, but they soon will be. And as an experiment, down here on the bottom I have zinnias. So I thought that would be nice to see how they grow. Maybe I could come out here and pick a fresh flower, take it inside, and that would be nice. Or just cut them and put them in a little vase out here. So hopefully those will work out for me. Okay, so that's my herb container garden. Thank you all so much for watching, and have a beautiful day.